Citizens of Azeroth! Today is the day we turn the tide! Today is the day that we retake our world and send the Legion back to the hell that spawned them!
Ladies, gentlemen, and all you fell-blooded lunatics, welcome. As always, I am Cosmic, and today we're taking a preview look at the World of Warcraft Legion, Blizzard's upcoming expansion to the very well-known MMORPG. In this preview, I'm going to start by talking about the new Demon Hunter class, and then talk about Legion's general content. Now, as you may or may not know, I haven't played WoW in a very long time, probably since the last time I can recall is early Cataclysm Beta, to be precise. Legion has been the first expansion since Wrath of the Lich King that has got me interested again, so I recently started a new account and started the age-old level grind. What was interesting upon my return wasn't the big content additions, but the smaller changes that they have made. Realm hopping was a very weird one for me, and it took some getting used to, as did the new adventure guide, group finder, and the way they have split up larger dungeons. There also seems to be a huge amount of phasing going on now, which is strange to see when you still have vivid memories of Vanilla and Burning Crusade. So recently Blizzard made huge changes to all the classes, including reworking their abilities, removing the glyph system entirely, changing the appearance system including Hiding Helm and Hiding Cloak, to completely transfer all that over to the new transmog system. Needless to say, this is not the World of Warcraft that I remember, but as a side note, I have to say that I really enjoyed a lot of the changes made to the classes for the most part. A lot of them feel more unique. Each spec of each class feels different and less kind of samey with a different purpose. It's a lot more unique, and I really like that for the most part, even if they did kind of nerf my Blood Elf Protection Paladin, but that's neither here nor there. But enough about all that, let's get down to the good stuff. So let's first talk about the Demon Hunters and all that Illidari related goodness. The new Demon Hunter class allows you to play as the Illidari, who were the Demon Hunters who followed Illidan's Stormrage and have been imprisoned in the Vault of Wardens since the time of Illidan's downfall in Outland. So pretty much since the Burning Crusade. Demon Hunters can only be Blood Elves or Night Elves, and they start at level 98, so are able to jump straight into Legion's content after going through their initial starting area. Now, there's a large amount of appearance customization options available for Demon Hunters from the get-go, including things like tattoos, face masks, horns, as well as the normal Night and Blood Elf customization options as well. Once you've completed your Demon Hunter, your start is in the starting area of Mardun, a Legion world at the time of the Burning Crusade timeline. You and Illidan Stormrage's Illidari fight with Illidan's allied forces, such as the Naga, to take control of the world and fight the Burning Legion. Needless to say, we all know how Burning Crusade ended, and as the starting area comes to a close, the timeline skips ahead to the present, where the Illidari are being held in the Vault of Wardens as it comes under assault by an invasion of the Burning Legion. This forces the Wardens to release the Illidari once again to fight the Legion for the sake of Azeroth. Now, Demon Hunters have two class specs, both of which are based on agility. Both specs are melee based with dual glaives. The Havoc spec focuses more on the DPS side of things, and the Vengeance spec focuses on tanking. The Demon Hunter is one of the most mobile classes to date, with the ability to not only double jump, but also glide using demon wings. Both specs utilize demon power, such as the ability to transform into demon form. Havoc has some really fun abilities such as the eye beam, where the demon hunter goes into a demon form, removing their eye mask and dealing AoE damage to enemies. It's all very X-Men Cyclops style. As I've said, I prefer to tank, so Vengeance was the way I instantly went, and with the help of Metamorphosis, which transforms you into demon form that increases your maximum health by 30%. Now, demon hunters are blind in the lore, and as such, this is directly translated into the mechanics of the class. So they have an ability called Spectral Sight, which you can activate to see all the enemies around you, and you can even see enemies behind walls. All round, the Demon Hunter class is a fast, agile class that is truthfully a hell of a lot of fun to play. As a lore fan, it's been a long dream of mine to play a Demon Hunter, and for the most part, I have to say that the class overall is one of the most fun classes to play in the game to date, and I don't think I've had this much fun probably since probably Death Knights, I would think, were the last major class edition that were a hell of a lot of fun. So now let's get into the expansion itself. So lore-wise, the expansion is set right after Warlords of Draenor, takes place back on Azeroth in the correct timeline, not in Draenor's alternate timeline. The Burning Legion invades once again, and the Horde Alliance forces make for the Broken Isles, which is both the spearhead location for the Legion's invasion and where the last hope for Azeroth lies. Broken Isles, of course, is the new expansive zone where players can quest up to the new level cap of 110, where there's plenty of quests to be had and the scenery is fairly epic. Much of Legion's content lies in dungeons and raids due to player feedback. That isn't to say that there isn't much to do outside of dungeons and raids, because there's plenty and then some to get your teeth into. Now, I don't want to go into too much detail, particularly specifics about Legion's content in terms of quests and dungeons, because I don't want to spoil much of what happens, which is why the footage I'm showing you at the moment is from the Demon Hunter starting zone. I will say that I really enjoyed Broken Isles. There was a lot of fun to be had there. I really enjoyed questing there. I think that a lot of the voice acting in the game, they've put a lot more in this time round in Legion. It's a lot more cinematic, which also means that there is quite a bit, especially towards the start of the expansion, there's quite a bit of phasing involved there, which I'm not a giant fan of phasing. I know it's really, realistically and logistically, the only way you can actually tell a story in a good way in an MMO at the moment, but I think that it kind of makes an MMO experience feel more like a single player experience at times, but for the most part it works very, very well. Which leads me nicely on to class orders. Now, of course, in Warlords of Draenor we had garrisons, which were a fairly solo experience, which is something that a lot of people complained about, that you had this garrison, you had these NPC followers who you could send out to do quests and tasks, etc., etc., but it was a fairly solo experience. You didn't get to share that with anyone. This time we have class orders, which basically work very similar to garrisons, except for the fact that they are communal. So when you go into your class order, wherever that may be, I think the Paladin one is in Light's Hope in Eastern Plaguelands, you get to basically go in there with other people on the server, and I really like that sense of you have this kind of base of operations where other people are using it as well, and it makes it feel like an MMO again, which is nice. One of the class order's primary functions is artifact customization, but we'll get to that in a moment. What I want to talk about for the most part in class orders is the fact that you collect members of your class to fight the Legion, and these are elite lore figures, so it's not just random followers that you're getting this time, it's lore characters that are essentially champions, and they work differently from your garrison followers. There are way more followers than there are champions, of course, so champions tend to do specific things and more impactful things than your followers did, and this time it makes garrisons and class orders feel very, very different in the sense that, one, yes, it is a community thing, so you have other members of your class there. But two, instead of having it feel like where your garrison, you are in charge and you're the boss of everything and everyone's just following you, this time it feels like your class and the lore characters of your class are coming together to fight a common cause, and it gives it a very different feel, a very unique feel, and it's something that I think is orders of magnitude better than the garrison system. I like being able to go into my class order, having other players of that class there, and it can become a communal thing. It can become where you get to go meet people and actually socially interact with people again, which is a very strange thing for an MMORPG nowadays, apparently, because people don't like to do that as much as they did. But let's get on to my favourite addition in Legion, which is artifact weapons. Artifact weapons are a hell of a lot of fun. Now, there are 36 unique artifact weapons in total. Now, these are essentially intended to be the weapons that you are going to fight with during the Legion expansion. Now, the way that artifact weapons, they are going to be a famous weapon like Ashbringer or, Doomhammer, something fun like that. Now, usually at the start of Legion, there's going to be a unique quest for your spec, and you will go and retrieve an artifact weapon. Now, artifact weapons are going to work very, very differently. If you don't know about artifact weapons already, they work very, very differently than, loot and items work currently. Artifact weapons essentially are going to be upgradable weapons that you can upgrade and take with you for whatever time. Now, obviously, you can get more than one artifact weapon, but you will get one at the very start of Legion, and then you can go and find more. Now, you have a main spec, obviously, so you're going to have a main spec artifact weapon, and having multiple weapons optimized essentially for each spec is going to take time to accomplish. Now, in every class order, there's going to be some kind of forge or some kind of piece of equipment that is going to allow you to upgrade your artifact weapon. Now, artifact weapons have two progression paths essentially. You're going to gain artifact power from a lot of pretty much most activities in Legion, and then you can spend that artifact power on traits, and you can unlock sections of the progression tree of your artifact. You're also going to get relics. Now, relics are essentially loot that is dropped from dungeons, raids, and certain quests, and these work similar to gems in the sense that you can just slot them in to your artifact weapon to boost various stats and enhance traits, etc., etc. So it's going to be work very, very similar to that. I really, really enjoy artifact weapons. I think they're very cool. It's very fan servicey in the fact that, you're going to have a lot of Ashbringers walking around and a lot of very famous weapons walking around. But you can't help but feel really cool when you get that weapon. I have to say, even though it doesn't make sense lore-wise a little bit, I have to say that when you first get that weapon, that artifact weapon especially, I think I've gotten the Twin Blades of the Deceiver for my Havoc spec. I got the other War Blades for my Vengeance spec on my Demon Hunter, and then I did a Paladin, got the Ashbringer. You can't help but feel really, really legit awesome when you get that weapon, and that is a really nice feeling to have. And I think that this progression of, upgrading that weapon throughout the expansion, being able to, go and raid for items that you're able to use into that weapon is a lot of fun, and the weapons themselves are going to be customizable, so you can change the appearance of the item, and you're going to be able to tint it different colors and that kind of thing, and it's going to be a lot of fun. What I also like about the appearance customization in particular is that a lot of the designs for the appearance customization are tied directly to something other than, just doing something. So you have to actually do achievements, and killing enemies related to artifact weapon, or visiting important Legion locations, or leveling up to the max level will all unlock designs. So you're always doing something. You're never just standing there at the auction house trying to get designs of the auction house. It's always about your character actually progressing in some form or another. And I have to say, as a roundup, those are pretty much what I've covered there is my favourite big chunks of what Legion adds. Now, Legion obviously adds a hell of a lot more than that. We're talking about changes to the PvP honor system. There's new dungeons, there's new raids, there's a lot of different things going on in Legion. It is packed full of content. But I think overall, as a preview and as a first impression, I have to say that I'm very, very impressed with Legion. I think it does need some work here and there. The PTR was a little bit problematic sometimes, and I hope that they try and get a smooth launch going in. But for the most part, I have to say that this expansion is one of the best expansions I've seen since probably Wrath. I wasn't a fan of Cataclysm and some of the changes that they made in Cataclysm. I've barely even touched Mr. Pandaria for the most part. I played a little bit through it and then kind of skipped it. Warlords of Draenor was a lot of fun, definitely, but it had its own set of specific problems. And I think Legion is ultimately the amalgamation of fan feedback. It is them trying to really set the fire in players' hearts once more, which it definitely has worked, I have to say. I think playing as a Demon Hunter, getting back into the Burning Legion and fighting the Burning Legion once more, especially with all the different things going on in Azeroth, is just it captures a nice blend between feeling like a fresh game once again, but also feeling nostalgic enough for us older players to really enjoy it also. And I think that it's got a really nice balance between that. So that is my preview of World of Warcraft Legion. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Do like, subscribe, and let me know what your thoughts are on the expansion if you've played it on the PTR, and I will see you next time.